Hello everybody and welcome back to Gaming on Caffeine. My name is Isaac and we are back for episode 18 of Feed the Beast Infinity Evolved. Last episode we were working on setting up at the beginning of our logistics pipe system over here, which now allows us to access all of these inventories on this wall, all of these storage drawers, as well as all of these chests by simply right-clicking with our crescent hammer on the request logistics pipe. It then shows us all the stuff that we have and we can simply click or type in and search for anything that we want and simply specify how many of that we want, hit request, and it will send it to us. Hopefully this will make our crafting so much easier and so much quicker in the future because we don't have to spend forever searching through all of these chests trying to find what we're looking for. And also, since the end of last episode, I have worked a little bit on organization. You'll see this corner over here is a little bit tidier than it was before. I've organized these thermal expansion machines into a nice line, put all of my lasers onto this wall, and use these cobblestone covers from thermodynamics to go ahead and cover up the pipes behind them. And I've also gone ahead and put both of my end Biome machines here and moved the logistics pipes controller down to under there as well, so it can access all the power from the water wheels downstairs and still power up the logistics pipe system. Cool. Now, what I want to work on today is I want to work on a little bit of Industrial Craft 2, because right now, our Industrial Craft 2 setup is a little bit terrible. If we look over here, we have 3 machines. All of our power is coming from this one very simple generator, which produces, I think, like 10 EU per tick, which is an incredibly low amount. And if we look at some of the really late game tech stuff, like, for example, if we look at the Applied Energistics controller, that thing requires a lot of Industrial Craft 2. A lot of the late game tech stuff requires Industrial Craft 2. Let me see if I can find this controller real quick. It is over here. If we look at this, we need a quantum core from Advanced Solar Panels, which is an add-on for Industrial Craft, which means we need a ton of these enriched sonorium alloys, which in turn need enriched sonorium, which is made using iridium uranium, which is made using uranium and glowstone. That's not too bad. The harder stuff comes in the form of the sonorium. The sonorium is made using sonorium pieces, which are made in a molecular transformer, giving one piece of glowstone a million EU. 1 million EU per piece of sonorium. We need 9 of those to make a plate. We need multiple of those plates to make a controller. And then the molecular transformer itself is also made using a ton of Industrial Craft stuff and things like that. And also, I'm fairly certain that we need a lot of this MOX fuel to make things like iridium, which is then used to make all the stuff which you mentioned before, iridium plates, which are used to make things like the angel ring, as well as some higher tier solar panels, as well as the sonorium alloys that we just showed, as well as like stuff like this, and all kinds of different stuff that we're going to need if we want to progress into the really late game tech stuff, which I would like to do. I would like to get this angel ring, if at all possible, although it is pretty crazy to get this thing made, and I would definitely like to get an Applied Energistics 2 system before episode 500, so today we're going to work on Industrial Craft 2, so sit back, relax. It's going to be like a super long episode because there is a ton of stuff to do in Industrial Craft 2, and by the end of this episode, what I want is I want to have a nuclear reactor set up. I say a nuclear reactor, it sounds a lot bigger than it's going to be. It's going to be 1 block is our nuclear reactor, and that's going to be our power source for the time being for Industrial Craft 2. Now, the reason I've chosen the nuclear reactor is not because I think it's the best source of power or anything like that, but as I mentioned before, that MOX fuel and stuff that we need for the uranium, also the pellets of RTG fuel, are both made using plutonium and uranium. And plutonium is made through a thermal centrifuge with depleted uranium cells. If we go through here, you can see somewhere, I believe it said depleted uranium cells. If we look at the MOX fuel real quick, here we go, depleted uranium cells. If we use those through a thermal centrifuge, we get tiny piles of plutonium, which we can then use to make the bigger piles of plutonium, and which we can then use to make things like the MOX fuel, as well as the RTG fuel. And the way that you get depleted uranium cells is by putting normal uranium cells into a nuclear reactor, letting them kind of burn down, using them for power for a little while, and then you can throw them through the thermal centrifuge and get some plutonium. So, that's the plan. It's going to take a long time because there is a lot of stuff we need to do. So, if we look at the recipe to begin with here for a nuclear reactor, this guy over here, this is the end game goal. So to make this, to start with, we need 4 lots of dense lead plates, each of which require 9 lead plates compressed up into dense lead plates. So, what I did for the episodes, I went ahead and got a ton of lead plates, and if I go ahead and take 16 off here, I think it's 16, we should have enough there to make the 4 dense lead plates that we need for that. We then need to make ourselves a generator. I'm not quite sure if we need to make a new one or if I should take this one. We should probably make a new one, just so that we don't have, just so we have like a nice constant source of power, albeit very weak throughout the course of today's episode. And then we also need these 3 reactor chambers, which again are made with more lead plates, which is why I have the 16 extra, as well as some basic machine casing, which are made using iron plates, which you'll also notice I have quite a few of, as well as some redstone iron chipsets, which I did go ahead and make a little bit of beforehand. And also I would like a few more of these redstone chipsets for later on in the episode, although I don't quite think that we need 30. 7 should be more than enough. So we'll leave that in there. Let's head on back over here, and we don't quite have enough here to make all 3 of these basic machine casings. So let's quickly run back over here, and let's put 3 more iron into there. That's going to get us all the plates that we need. The dense lead plates are almost done, so this thing's actually not too far away from being made, and that might seem like we've got like pretty far pretty quick, but in order to actually get the depleted uranium cells, or to get the normal uranium cells to put into the nuclear reactor, there's a lot of work, like a lot of work that needs to be done. So we are quite far away from actually getting anything finished here. So there are the lead plates. Let's go ahead and wait for this guy to finish. And once we got that, we can go back over to our crafting table, and we should be able to go ahead and make 1 more of these basic machine casing. And then if we go boom with boom, 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 that gets us 3 of those. Nice. So we'll take that. I'm going to go ahead and put some more iron into the metal former for now, because I'm like 95% certain that we need like a ton more of those machine casing for the remainder of today's episode. So the next thing on the list is the advanced circuit. To make this, we need those 4 redstone chipsets, which are cooking up over in the assembly table. We need 2 more of these basic capacitors. We do have 1 in our inventory already. I think we made an extra one a few episodes back when we did the Ender IO stuff. We also need an electric circuit, and for this we need a lot of these insulated copper cables. So one thing I did between episodes, now that we have a mob farm downstairs, we have a lot of bones here, which means we can make as much bone meal really as we like. So what I did is I grabbed some of the rubber tree saplings that we had in our AE system, the ones from Mine Factory Reloaded, and basically just spent a lot of time growing the trees, cutting them down with the lumber axe, and repeating that process over and over and over again until we got a lot of rubber, which I've then gone ahead and smelted up into rubber bars. So we should now have quite a nice amount of rubber, at least for the near future. So let's take a look. We've got some copper cable on us. We can go ahead and turn, I think for now, all of that into insulated copper cable. Then for that, we're going to get another iron plate, so we should probably go and grab one out of our metal former here, which I think is probably out of power. Yeah, it is. I did grab some more coal between episodes as well. I did quite a bit more mining, but we are really low on all kinds of fuel, so that's something we could probably do with working on in the near future. We should probably even start working on maybe getting ourselves a quarry of some kind, but the quarry is like really a pain in the backside to make. But actually after this episode, it might not be as big of a pain in the backside, because we're going to set up something today that is going to make our lives a little bit easier. It's a pain to set up, but it's going to make our lives a little bit easier. So now we've done that, what else do we need? We need to get ourselves the iron plate, which we have. We need to get ourselves some redstone, which we have. And there we go, an electronic circuit. Nice. So now that we've got that, upgrading it to an advanced circuit requires those 4 basic redstone chipsets, which I think we have 4 in our storage over there, but I might as well go ahead and use 4 of the ones that we have in there. We're also going to need to do the lapis electron tube thing again to get another basic capacitor, but that's fine. What else do we need? We also need these intricate circuit boards, which are a carpenter's recipe with gold and redstone. How are we doing for gold right now? I know we were struggling a little bit towards the end of last episode. We got 36 gold there. That should be fine, I think, for now. Is our carpenter still over there? It is. We should probably also move our carpenter over to the rest of the machines, mainly for the power usage, but also because the other machines are quite close. Can I use my crescent hammer for this? No. Also because my other machines are quite close to an unlimited water source as well, which means automating this in the future would be a lot easier if we also just use the unlimited water source these guys have over here. Although, to be fair, at this point in the game, we don't really need these hobbyist steam engines, and we also don't really need this unlimited water source, but that is fine. We can keep a hold of it for now. That is a terrible place to put our carpenter. Instead, for now, let's put it there. That's not much of a better place, in all fairness, but we'll take 2 buckets worth of water, and for now, we'll just throw both of those into there. Boom. Boom. Oh, my game is breaking a little bit. The server's been a little bit jittery over the past few weeks, but that's fine. that's looking good. Let's go ahead and throw some gold in the middle and some redstone either side. Boom, boom. And that should quite nice to go ahead and grab us 2 of those. So I will leave that running. I don't want to leave that running too much. Actually, 13 redstone should mean that it can't make more than 2 anyway, so that's fine. Then we're going to have to make ourselves the other basic capacitor, which, again, requires some lapis electron tubes, some signalum nuggets, and some more of the redstone chipsets. So let's go over here. I think we actually have all of that stuff. We'll take 1 lapis electron tube. We will take some signalum. We've only got 3 nuggets, so I'll just take another ingot and turn that into nuggets. And then we have the 4 redstone chipsets. We'll take 2 of those. And I think that is everything that we are going to need to make our other basic capacitor. So let's head on back over here, throw you in there, take that, and boom, boom, boom. Nice. So we've now got those 2. We've got those 2. These 2 should be on their way, if not done already. They are done already. So, let's head back over to this crafting table. Jeez, this thing is a pain in the backside to make. Let's grab the nuclear reactor, and boom, we get ourselves 1 advanced circuit, which, if we get ourselves a generator, is going to be the last piece of the puzzle into making this reactor. So, the generator we've made before should be fairly easy. We need a furnace as well as a lot of iron plates. We have a few iron plates. I think we do have enough iron plates, though, which is good. Also, I think we're going to need some tin in order to make the RE battery at the top here, because this thing, of course, requires these tin casing. So let's go ahead and quickly drink up some raspberry juice, which we are almost out of. I should probably run outside and grab some more of that, but let's quickly grab some tin. I think we're almost out of tin over there, so let's take some of this stuff here. I don't know quite how many we're going to need. I know it's nowhere near 10, but for now, we will throw that in there, and that should be fine. Okay, so whilst we wait for the tin to turn into tin plates over in the metal former, we can go ahead and make ourselves an iron furnace, and then all we need after that is 3 iron plates in the middle and our RE battery. So, what else do we need for the RE battery? We need to get ourselves some electrolyte, which I'm pretty sure we should have in abundance, actually, because we don't ever use it for anything else. So let's grab 2 of you. Thank you very much. The tin plates should be well on their way to completion by now. And we only need 2 of them, actually, because I think 2 equals 4 of those tin item casings. So we'll take 2 of those and put them back in. That should get us 4 item casing, I think. It does good stuff, and then we can take that, and we should now, I think, be able to make ourselves the nuclear reactor. Jeez, this took way too flipping long. Actually, no, we can't, because we need to, first of all, make ourselves 1. Actually, do we have 1 in here? I think we might. We do. We have 1 tin wire. I will grab that. I knew we'd have 1 lying around, because every time we make this RE battery, we always make a set of tin wires and never actually use the full sets. I will take you, and now we are actually done. So, head on back over here. We'll put the casing in the bottom. We'll put you at the top. We'll put the electrolyte in the middle. That gets us the RE battery. We can then combine that up with the plates and the iron furnace to get the generator. We can then combine that up with the reactor chamber as well as the 4 dense lead plates and the advanced circuit. And boom, we have ourselves a nuclear reactor. Nice. So, for now, I'm going to put it like here. It's not a great place for a nuclear reactor. These things do have the potential to explode, so we should probably, at least at some point in the very near future, put it in a more secure place, maybe a bit further underground, maybe with some reinforced stone around it. But for now, I'm going to put it right there, and we're going to just hope it doesn't explode. So, what we need to do in order to get some power out of this thing is we need to put some uranium fuel rods in there as well as something to dissipate the heat. So, the heat dissipation, if we type in heat, there are a few different things you can use. The one we're going to use to start with is a heat vent. And to make this, we need some more iron plates, even more iron bars, as well as an electronic motor, which needs more of those tin item casings. So I guess we can go ahead and throw another tin plate back in there, as well as some more of these coils, which need a ton more of the copper cable. So, let's have a look. I think, do we get 2 or 3 cable? I think we get 3 wires per thing there. So we'll take that. We'll change this to cutting mode. 3 wires. We need 16. And so I guess we need like 6 in there. And once we've got all of the copper cable, we can turn those into coils. And then once we've got those coils, I think we should almost be able to turn those into a motor. Like so. Nice. So we'll take that. And then we should be able to do that once we grab some more iron bars. Do we have any of those lying around? I know we've made quite a few in the past. We do. Let's take 4 of those. Thank you very much. And once we've taken those, we can go back to our crafting station and we can make ourselves a heat vent. Nice. So, now we've got ourselves a heat vent. The next thing is kind of the harder part of the episode, and that is getting the uranium fuel cells. So, the thing with the uranium fuel cells is they require, in order to make them, you need a canning machine with a fuel rod, an empty fuel rod, which is fairly easy to make. It's just an iron plate in the metal form. That stuff's easy. The hard bit is the enriched uranium nuclear fuel. To make this, we need 6 uranium and 3 of these tiny piles of uranium. And now to make these, we need to use a thermal centrifuge and then either some purified crushed uranium or some crushed uranium ore. The difference between these two is you'll see that the purified crushed uranium gives a little bit more than the non-purified version, just the crushed uranium ore. This one is made by putting uranium ore through a macerator. This one is made by putting this stuff through an ore washer. So basically this one has been processed through one more machine than this one has. But for today's episode, to keep things simple so we don't have to make an ore washing machine, we're going to start by just using these ones here and getting 1 pile of tiny uranium as well as 4 of the uranium per piece of crushed uranium, which you get 2 of per piece of uranium ore that you macerate in the macerator. Unfortunately, all of our uranium that I've mined up until this point, I've just turned directly into uranium ingots, and unfortunately, you cannot use those uranium ingots to make the uranium cells. So what I had to do between episodes is do a bunch more mining and get a little bit more uranium ore so we can go ahead and do this. So, to start with, we need a macerator. And to save you guys watching me do the same stuff over and over again, I've gone ahead and quickly just made myself another basic machine casing and another electronic circuit so we can quickly make ourselves a macerator. Nice. Let's take that back over here. I did accidentally make the HV cable here when I put the iron into the metal former instead of rolling out into iron plates, which is a massive mistake on my part, but it does mean that I guess we can quickly do this and make ourselves some of this insulated HV cable and just stick it down right about here. I guess that works. I'm hoping that I can use that to power my macerator like so. It looks like that should work just fine. We are out of power in here, which means I am going to have to grab even more of the coal out of our system, which we are running out of ridiculously fast, which I don't really like because we're going to need some coal to make pulverized coal later on in today's episode, I think. So I kind of a little dubious about using too much of this stuff. But now that we've got the macerator, let's also quickly request some uranium ore. We currently only have 9, but what I'll do between episodes is try and grab as much more of that as I can. For now, we will take, I think, 2. I don't know. I only want to make 1 uranium cell for this episode, and I'll make a few more of them between episodes because we are going to need a lot of these, and I mean like a ton, if we want to be able to progress into, like I said earlier, the later kind of tech stuff. So for now, we'll stick that in there. We'll get 2 of those, which gets us 4 of the crushed uranium, and then once we've got all 4 of that crushed uranium, we then need to go ahead and look at what else we need. So uranium fuel cells, let's have a look here. Once we've got the crushed uranium, what we need to do is we need to put it through a thermal centrifuge. And this is where things get a little bit, like, just ridiculously silly to make. So to make the thermal centrifuge, we're going to need a couple of things. So the thermal centrifuge is this guy over here. It's used for a lot of stuff. To make it, we need to get ourselves some coils, which we've done before. That's easy enough. We need an electric motor, which again, we've done before. Easy enough. Iron, easy enough. An advanced machine casing. Not so easy, but we can do it. We've done it before again. And I'm going to do all that stuff off camera because you've seen me do it all before. And I don't want to spend the next 20 minutes of the episode making that stuff. The hard bit is making the mining laser, which, like I said earlier when I mentioned the quarry, this guy is also used to make a quarry, and this is why it's a little bit of a pain, because to make this, we not only need some redstone, some more advanced alloys, which again are easy enough to make, as well as an energy crystal, which does require diamonds, but is fairly easy to make. The hard bit is making the advanced circuit, which we did before, so I'm going to have to make another one of those, but making the iron turning blank is a pain in the backside. So to make this, we need a few things. First of all, we need a turning table. That's this guy over here. And to make this, we need just, first of all, a ton of iron. We need 2 of these iron casing, 3 iron plates, 1 basic machine frame, as well as 2 of these iron shafts, which are blocks of iron through the metal former. Once we have all of that stuff, we can make ourselves a turning table, but unfortunately, this thing does not run on EU like the rest of the machines from Industrial Craft 2. Instead, we need to make ourselves an electric kinetic generator, I think it's called. Yeah, this guy over here. And then we need to power this thing with EU in order to power the turning table. I'm not quite sure why they decided to put this weird, like, intermittent electric kinetic generator thing in, but we do need to make one of these. So for this, we're going to make ourselves yet another one of these electric motors. Another block of iron needs to go in there. We are running out of iron very quickly, as well as another RE battery and a bunch more iron item casing. And about 400 years later, we have ourselves an electric kinetic generator. Nice. Again, I went away and cut away to make all that stuff because it took way too long, and you've seen me make everything it takes to make that all before. And now, the way that this works is you've got to put down, first of all, the kinetic generator connected to some kind of EU power, and then you need to put down the turning table here against the side that has like this black circle on. So we're going to put it down right there like that, at which point this thing should start to get power like so, and it doesn't actually transfer power over to the turning table until you put an electric motor, one of these guys here, into this thing here. So we need to make ourselves yet another electric motor, which I don't even think we have enough copper to make just yet, because to make it, of course, we need a bunch more of these copper cables. I don't actually think that we legitimately have any copper left in our system. I know we don't have any left in that chest over there. Let me do a quick check over here for copper. We have one, so I'm going to go away, guys. I'm going to get some more copper, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so after mining a bunch more copper and turning it all into copper cable to make these coils, we can finally make ourselves one more motor, which, if we now go ahead and put into our kinetic generator, will allow it to start to make this kinetic unit, and you'll see that on the top there just turned black, so the turning table is now able to work. So now we've got our turning table, we need to make a few more things. Let's go back over to our thermal centrifuge over here and look at the recipe for a mining laser. We need an iron turning blank, and to do this, we need a few things. We do need an iron turning blank, but we also need a lathing tool, this guy over here, which is made using 2 of these iron casing, as well as a refined iron plate, which I think also is just a steel plate, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check that real quick. Is that just steel? It is, so we'll get some steel. Thankfully, steel is one thing that we do have, at least for now, a fair bit of. And I say a fair bit of, meaning that we have 25, which is not a ton, but we haven't actually been using a lot of it in the recent kind of episodes. So 25 should be more than enough for the foreseeable future. So again, back into the metal former. Let's get ourselves one more steel plate. We can then combine that with our iron item casing to get our lathing tool. And finally, we can go ahead and stick that in there. The last thing that we're going to need is, of course, the blank iron turning, I think it was called. This guy over here, the iron turning blank, sorry, which is made, again, using some more iron item casing and some more iron. We have gone through stacks and stacks and stacks of iron this episode. It is ridiculous, but we are actually almost there. So we'll put those two together and you in the middle, and actually we'll do it the other way around because that's what the recipe is. I say we're almost there. We're almost there on making the laser drill. We're not quite almost there on making everything else, but the way that this works, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, let's go ahead and look at the recipe for a laser drill again. It doesn't tell you in any how to make this. It tells you this is how you do it, but doesn't really explain how the turning table works. I mean, I guess that's fair because the same's true for other machines, but this thing is a bit of a pain to figure out. But the way it works is you put in this thing here, the iron turning blank, into there, and then once you've got the lathing tool, I thought it disappeared there. I was going to be pretty annoyed. And you've got some power coming to it from this guy here. You can actually start to kind of, I guess, chip away at certain parts of this. And for this one in particular, we need to do 4, 3, 2, 2, 2, which means we click it once here, twice here, and then 3 times on all of these to make a specific pattern. I did click that, so I'm skeptical about pressing it again, although the power might have limited my pressing of it a little bit. Are we out of juice again? We are 100% out of juice. My goodness, this generator cannot get here fast enough to actually start producing like a nice constant supply of redstone flux, not redstone flux, EU, which I guess is kind of like the redstone flux of industrial craft. But let's try and do that. That's 3. I don't want to go too far, because if we go too far, I'm pretty sure you can't go back. And there we go. That gets us the perfectly crafted iron turning table blank, which we can now use to make a mining laser, which I'm going to have to, again, cut away to make because it's going to take me like 15 minutes. So I'm going to go away, guys. I'm going to make myself all the stuff to make a mining laser. I think I will also go ahead and make all the stuff that we need to get a thermal centrifuge, like all of this stuff and things like that as well. And I'll be back again in a second.